Chapter 12:14. The hell-suppressing steel collided with the meteor like two stars colliding, and a terrifying energy fluctuation swept out in all directions. Countless stone pillars were turned into powder by the energy fluctuation. Bang! Amidst the flaming radiance that filled the sky, the enormous meteor was blasted back violently and fiercely collided with the ground, creating a huge hole. The perfection stage spiritual god expert was no match for Lu Ming and fell into a disadvantageous position. Not far away, Mu Ju was almost scared to death. This is too terrifying. Even a perfection stage spiritual god expert is no match for him. What combat strength is this? Suppress. A cold and indifferent voice sounded out from the hell-suppressing steel and continued to suppress the enormous meteor. Swoosh. At this moment, an enormous palm blasted out from the side and blasted onto the hell-suppressing steel, blocking it for a moment. It was another perfection stage spiritual god expert. Bang! Seizing this opportunity, the enormous meteor flew out of the ground and converged with the other perfection stage spiritual god expert. Let's attack together. This person is too monstrous. An aged voice sounded out from the enormous meteor, and it was filled with dense astonishment. Attack! The other perfection stage spiritual god shouted loudly. The two perfection stage spiritual gods joined forces and charged towards Lu Ming. A perfection stage spiritual god was several times stronger than a 9th level spiritual god and was extremely terrifying. In a sense, a perfection stage spiritual god was already at the peak of the spiritual god realm and stood at the peak of the spiritual god realm. On the other hand, a perfection stage spiritual god was actually just a transitional stage on the way to becoming an emperor. An emperor needed to transform one's intent into a domain, whereas a sovereign had already comprehended the embryonic form of a domain but hadn't completely transformed it into a domain. Kill! Even when facing two perfection stage spiritual gods, Lu Ming's killing intent still soared into the sky. The hell-suppressing steel emitted a dazzling radiance and madly pressed down on the two. Bang! Bang! The two perfection stage spiritual gods joined forces to resist and erupted with terrifying attacks, but the result was that they were suppressed by Lu Ming and were constantly bombarded by the steel, causing them to retreat repeatedly. The two of them joined forces but were still at a disadvantage. Heaven battling Dracophant. On the other side, the archaic dragonesque elephant went berserk. Its body swelled up, and dense scales covered its body. It was 30,000 meters tall and had a terrifying might that could trample mountains and rivers. Long Chen was facing two perfection stage domain enlightened spirit gods as well. At this moment, the terrifying combat strength of the primordial dragonesque mammoth was vividly displayed. He wasn't at a disadvantage at all when fighting two perfection stage domain enlightened spirit gods by himself, and he was even in an advantageous position. Perfect bloodline of one of the top 10 beasts, its power is indeed terrifying. Lu Ming sensed the situation over there and was secretly shocked. At the same time, Lu Ming was also looking forward to the Nine Dragons bloodline. Right now, the Nine Dragons bloodline was only at the 8th level of the divine realm and had yet to reach perfection. However, once the Nine Dragons bloodline reached perfection, it would definitely become even stronger and give birth to the 9th dragon force. Its power would definitely be even more terrifying. At that time, with just the Nine Dragons bloodline, his power would not be weaker than Long Chen's. When the two of them joined forces, they'd actually forcefully suppressed 4 perfection stage spirit god realm experts. How could this be? How could this be? Mu Ju muttered to himself as his eyes widened in fear. They were too strong. The strength of Lu Ming and Long Chen had far exceeded his expectations. He'd already overestimated Lu Ming enough. He'd brought 4 perfection stage spirit god realm experts along with more than 10 8th level and 9th level spirit god realm experts. With such terrifying combat strength, not only had they failed to kill Lu Ming and Long Chen, but they'd also fallen into a disadvantageous position. He'd never dreamt of this. Buzz. The prison-suppressing steel shook and repelled the 2 perfection stage spirit god realm experts. Then, it moved horizontally and killed a 9th level spirit god realm expert. Then, the prison-suppressing steel directly pressed down on a perfection stage spirit god realm expert who was fighting with Long Chen. That expert had never expected that Lu Ming would suddenly attack him. At this moment, he was fighting with Long Chen with all his strength. He was caught off guard and was hit by the prison-suppressing steel. He let out a miserable cry as half of his body exploded. He only had half a breath left as he fell to the ground. "Join forces," Lu Ming said. "All right," Long Chen replied without the slightest hesitation. He let out a long roar and stomped out with his elephant leg that was like a heavenly pillar. The other perfection stage spirit god realm expert spat out a mouthful of blood and retreated. Buzz. Then, Lu Ming pressed down and killed the perfection stage spirit god realm expert. "Not good. Young master, retreat." The two perfection stage spirit god realm experts who were fighting with Lu Ming earlier had a drastic change in expression. Lu Ming suddenly shifted his opponent and joined forces with Long Chen to kill the two perfection stage spirit god realm experts. It was already too late for them to help. At this moment, all they could think of was to escape. Run. Mu Ju roared in his heart as he turned around and fled madly. The two perfection stage spirit god realm experts followed closely behind him. There were also a few 9th level spirit god realm experts. Kill! How could Lu Ming let Mu Ju escape so easily? The huge prison-suppressing steel broke through space and charged towards Mu Ju. Bang! Bang! The primordial dragonesque elephant stepped on the void, causing space to explode as he chased after Mu Ju. The distance between both sides was constantly closing. Run. You guys take me and run quickly. You guys go and block them. Mu Ju ordered the two perfection stage spirit god realm experts to take him and escape. He also ordered a few 9th level spirit god realm experts to block Lu Ming's group. The faces of the few 9th level spirit god realm experts turned red. Asking them to block Lu Ming's group? Wasn't that just courting death? They naturally didn't want to go. "If you guys don't go, I'll go back and report to my father. You guys will also die." Mu Ju roared in anger. He was the young master of the Mu family. Moreover, he was extremely talented and would definitely step into the emperor realm in the future. Therefore, he had a lot of authority. The few 9th level spirit god realm experts looked at each other and suddenly flew to both sides. They actually fled directly. They would die if they went to block Lu Ming's group. They would also die if they went back. They might as well run away directly. "Damn traitor!" Mu Ju roared and almost wet himself. The two perfection stage spirit god realm experts took Mu Ju and ran at top speed. However, Lu Ming and Long Chen were getting closer and closer. Not good. Lu Ming, a supreme being expert, is approaching. It might be the Mu family's supreme being. Dandan suddenly shouted. "Supreme being." Lu Ming's face changed. With his current cultivation, he would definitely die if he went against a supreme being. A supreme being was already half a step into the emperor realm. Once the embryonic form of the domain was released, who could compete with him? Killing a perfection stage spirit god was as easy as eating and drinking. Lu Ming's group was no match for him. Lu Ming, retreat quickly. Otherwise it will be too late. The supreme being can tear space apart and travel. Dandan anxiously shouted. Lu Ming's face changed. He then shouted, "Long Chen, go." After saying that, Lu Ming turned around and flew away. There would be plenty of opportunities to kill Xian Yanqing in the future. However, he couldn't bring Xian Yanqing along to face a supreme being with him now. Although Long Chen didn't know why, seeing Lu Ming acting like this, he must have discovered something. Without hesitation, he turned around and followed Lu Ming, running wildly to the rear. In the blink of an eye, the two of them were far away. Chapter 12:15. Mu Ju heaved a long sigh of relief after escaping with his life. His body was drenched in cold sweat. Lu Ming, Long Chen. Mu Ju gritted his teeth. This time, their losses were too great. They had lost more than a dozen 8th and 9th level Spirit God Realm experts and 2 Great Perfection Spirit God Realm experts. They were all high-level Spirit God Realm experts. Even if the Divine Ruins continent was filled with experts, He would still be punished by his father for losing so many of them. Rip. Suddenly, the space cracked and a middle-aged man stepped out. Elder Mu Yu, it's you? Mu Ju's eyes lit up when he saw the middle-aged man. He was excited. Supreme, the Mu family's Supreme is here. He finally knew why Lu Ming and the others were in such a hurry to escape. They must have sensed the arrival of a Supreme. Young Lord, what's going on? Mu Yu frowned when she saw Mu Ju and the others in a sorry state. Someone killed the Mu family's people. Elder Mu Yu, they are in front of us. Quickly chase after them and kill them. Mu Ju shouted. Who dares to kill my Mu family's people? Courting death. Young Lord, I'll bring you with me. Let's chase after them. Mu Yu's true essence wrapped around Mu Ju and tore the space apart. She brought Mu Ju into the space and chased after Lu Ming and the others. Lu Ming, what's going on? Lu Ming and Long Chen were running at full speed. A Supreme is coming, Lu Ming said. Long Chen's face changed. Although he didn't know how Lu Ming could sense the Supreme, they would die if they were to face a Supreme with their current strength. Both of them were extremely fast. They were like two streaks of lightning that pierced through the void. At this moment, Lu Ming had already transformed into 9 dragons. The 9 dragons stepped on the void and their speed was shocking. Long Chen's ancient dragon-esque elephant might have a huge body and boundless strength, but its speed was terrifyingly fast. Every step it took caused the void to explode. It covered 1,000 li in a single step. The two of them were heading towards the core of the divine ruins. Not good. Hurry up. The Supreme is coming. Dandan urged anxiously. Quick. Lu Ming shouted. He and Long Chen erupted with all their strength and rushed forward. When Lu Ming heard that the Jizun was coming, he did not hesitate to fly towards the core of the ruins of God. If they had headed in any other direction, they definitely wouldn't have been able to escape. A Jizuan could tear through space, and no matter how fast they were, they wouldn't be able to outrun a Jizuan. They would definitely be caught. The only way to survive was the core of the ruins of God. Although the core of the ruins of God was rumored to be very dangerous, he could only take a gamble. Almost there. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. The area ahead was filled with blood-red mist. Looking from afar, it looked hazy. That was the core area of the ruins of God, the legendary forbidden area. Anyone who entered would die. However, Lu Ming and Long Chen had no choice but to enter and hide temporarily. Both of them were decisive people. Without any hesitation, they charged into the blood-colored area and disappeared. Rip. Just as the two of them charged into the core area, the space outside the core area cracked open. Mu Yu and Mu Ju stepped out of the crack. Young master, they've entered the core area. Mu Yu frowned. The core area is a place where even emperors will die. They're dead for sure. It's a pity that they're going to die just like that. Mu Ju's face was hideous as he gritted his teeth. He originally wanted to take down Lu Ming and Long Chen and make them wish they were dead. Also, Xian Yanqing was such a beauty. He wanted to take her down and enjoy her, but now he could only let them die for free. They naturally did not dare to enter the core area of the ruins of God because even emperors would die if they entered. It was too strange and dangerous. However, Mu Ju was still worried and said, Elder Mu Yu, please stay here for half a month. No one has been able to survive for more than half a month in the core area. If they don't come out after half a month, it means that they're dead for sure. All right, young master, please rest assured. Mu Yu nodded. Then, Mu Ju waited for a day. After a day, Lu Ming and the rest did not come out, so Mu Ju went back alone, leaving Mu Yu to wait for them. As soon as Lu Ming and Long Chen rushed into the core area of the ruins of God, the environment behind them changed abruptly, as though the stars had changed. What's going on? The two of them stopped at the same time and looked behind them. There was a blood mist behind them and they could not see the situation clearly. Logically speaking, although there was blood mist, they should be able to see some things with their eyesight. But now, everything was blurry. This place, could it be that we're in a formation? Lu Ming guessed. Phew, we're safe. I can't sense that prime anymore. Dandan patted its chest with its claws and let out a long breath. The 9 dragons shrunk their bodies. Lu Ming and Long Chen turned into their human forms. Prime did not chase after us. Let's recover first. With that, Lu Ming landed. This area was still in ruins. Below them was the remains of an ancient palace. Lu Ming landed and sat cross-legged on a huge rock. With a wave of his hand, a large pile of ores appeared. Lu Ming swallowed them and began to refine them. After a series of battles, his true essence was severely depleted and needed to recover. Long Chen did the same. He took out a pile of ores and began to recover. Half an hour later, their true essence had recovered to its peak. Whoosh whoosh, the cold wind whistled, and it was the only sound in this silent land. The blood mist seemed to have thickened. Lu Ming, we have to leave this place as soon as possible. I feel that this place is very strange. If we stay here for too long, it will be very dangerous. Danden's eyes darted around as she said. Lu Ming nodded. His glabella shone and Xian Yanqing's figure appeared. This is... Xian Yanqing looked around and was slightly stunned. Shao Qing, this is the core of the ruins of God. Lu Ming gave a brief account of what had happened. Then, they chose the direction they came from and walked in that direction. However, after walking for a while, they found that they couldn't get out at all. It was as if they didn't come from this direction at all. Is it really a formation? Lu Ming frowned. No, this is more advanced than a formation. There is an inexplicable force that changed the field of the area, making it impossible to tell the direction in this place. Right now, we seem to be walking out, but it is possible that we are walking in. Danden frowned and analyzed. Danden, can you see the flaws and find a way out? Lu Ming asked. If I was at my peak, this would be nothing. But now, I can only try my best. Danden smiled awkwardly. Buzz. At this moment, not far from Lu Ming, a huge blue stone suddenly emitted a bright light. Endless inscriptions shone, forming chains that were filled with flames. In the light was Long Chen. Chapter 12:16. There was an array hidden in the green stone. Danden was careless and did not notice it. Whoosh, whoosh. The flaming chains wrapped around Long Chen. Break! Long Chen shouted angrily and threw out both his fists. Boom! Boom! The two fists were powerful and they pierced through the space. However, the flaming chains were very sturdy. Long Chen's fists only shook the flaming chains but did not break them. Whoosh! 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 The green stone glowed and more flaming chains appeared. Long Chen shouted angrily. His body glowed and his arms became thicker. A layer of scales appeared on his arms and he threw out a punch. Clang! One of the flaming chains was finally broken. Following that were even more chains. Two of the chains had already wrapped themselves around Long Chen's body. Whoosh! Whoosh! The chains wrapped around Long Chen's body and there was green smoke coming out of his body. The flaming chains were extremely terrifying. They ignored Long Chen's protective true origin and acted directly on his body. A layer of scales appeared on Long Chen's skin. It was exactly the same as the scales on the immemorial dragonesque elephant. Whoosh! The chains acted on the scales, making them sizzle. It looked like it would not last long. Break! Long Chen's muscles bulged and he grabbed the two chains. He struggled with all his might and finally broke the two chains. However, more chains appeared in the surroundings and enveloped Long Chen. The flaming chains are terrifying. They can break objects. I don't think Long Chen can last long. Xian Yanqing said solemnly. Lu Ming stared at the green stone and the runes without blinking. He was looking for a way to break it. Whoosh! Whoosh! As time passed, the green stone glowed brighter and more flaming chains appeared. Long Chen was having a harder time. There were already a few marks on his body and he was almost cut in half by the flaming chains. Long Chen, take 2 steps to the right and 3 steps back. Suddenly, Lu Ming's voice was heard. Long Chen was stunned and did as he was told without hesitation. He took 2 steps to the right and 3 steps back. A few chains swept past Long Chen's body. 4 steps to the right, 2 steps forward, 5 steps to the left. Lu Ming's eyes were fixed on Qingshi as he constantly gave out instructions. Now, Ming Lian's second body had already obtained the inheritance of the heavenly profound saint in the Saint Mansion's secret realm. He had been cultivating diligently in the Saint Mansion's secret realm, and his progress in the Tao of Inscription had been terrifying. Lu Ming's main body and second body were connected. As the second body's Tao of Inscription improved, Lu Ming's eyesight also improved greatly. Although he didn't have the spiritual fire and couldn't inscribe inscriptions, he could still see the flaws in the formation. Long Chen followed Lu Ming's instructions. Sometimes right, sometimes left, sometimes behind, sometimes in front. He avoided all of the chains and slowly left the range of the blue stone. "Dandan, I need your help," Lu Ming said to Dandan when he saw that Long Chen had reached the edge of the blue stone. "Don't worry, watch me." Dandan flew out and waved his claws. Inscriptions appeared, forming a large formation and rushed into the blue stone. "Long Chen, you're out?" Lu Ming shouted. Long Chen didn't hesitate and rushed out. The formation formed by Dandan shone and temporarily imprisoned the flame chains. However, in the next moment, it collapsed one by one. Long Chen took this short opportunity to rush out of the range of the blue stone and let out a long breath. "Brother Lu, thank you for saving me." Long Chen cupped his fists at Lu Ming. "You're welcome. It's nothing." Lu Ming smiled. "I, Long Chen, clearly distinguish between kindness and hatred. Long Chen will remember you saving my life this time." Long Chen said solemnly. Lu Ming smiled and didn't say much. "You have to be careful in this place. It looks dilapidated, but there are some places with broken formations. Even after countless years, they are still very powerful." Dandan reminded. "Dandan, do you know how to get out?" Lu Ming asked. "I can only try my best. Follow me and don't wander around." Dandan flew out and circled around the area, carefully sizing it up. "This way." After a while, Dandan pointed in a direction. "This way? Aren't we heading towards the core of the ruins of God?" Lu Ming was puzzled. Xian Yanqing and Long Chen also looked at Dandan in confusion. "What are you looking at? If you don't believe me, then look for it yourself." Dandan curled his lips and scampered forward. Lu Ming was speechless and could only believe this guy. The three of them followed Dandan and moved forward carefully. Dandan observed carefully, and Lu Ming also observed carefully. Along the way, they avoided many broken formations and moved forward. "There's an ancient mine of the ruins of God." Xian Yanqing's eyes lit up as he looked not far away. There were a few ancient mines of the ruins of God that were exposed to the outside world. No one had ever entered the core of the ruins of God to excavate it. It was definitely a huge treasure trove. "There are no formations there. We can take them." Lu Ming circulated his vital essence and took the few ancient mines of the ruins of God. You have to remember that some of the broken formations are very powerful. If you enter, even an Emperor Realm expert will die. Even if you see the ancient mines of the ruins of God, don't take them. Don't be blinded by greed. Dandan had a mature look on her face as she patiently and kindly warned everyone. But in the next moment, Dandan's eyes lit up as he stared to the right and shouted, "Level 9 spiritual medicine." Then he ran over, grabbed a sparkling and resplendent spiritual medicine, and stuffed it into his mouth. Buzz! In that place, inscriptions flickered, forming terrifying beams of light that shot towards Dandan. Dandan jumped up and down in a panic. In the end, it relied on its strong defensive power and profound inscription path to escape. Lu Ming and the others were speechless. This fellow had just warned them, but when he saw the spiritual medicine, he immediately rushed over. However, they were also secretly shocked. The spiritual medicine that Dandan had obtained just now was indeed extremely shocking. It was a level 9 spiritual medicine. This area was truly a treasure trove. The group moved forward carefully. Along the way, they had indeed encountered many treasures, mainly the ancient mines of the ruins of God and spiritual medicines. Most of the spiritual medicines went into Dandan's mouth, while the ancient mines of the ruins of God were divided equally between Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing, and Long Chen. Of course, in some dangerous places, even if they saw spiritual medicines and ancient mines of the ruins of God, they did not take them and directly gave up. This is a 9-leaf Ganoderma. Not long after, they saw a spiritual medicine with 9 leaves. It was crystal clear and had a medicinal fragrance. It was actually a 9-leaf Ganoderma, one of the main ingredients for refining the Nirvana pill. Lu Ming was overjoyed. He did not expect to encounter a 9-leaf Ganoderma here. However, the place where the 9-leaf Ganoderma grew had an incomplete formation. In the end, Lu Ming and Dandan worked together and spent a lot of effort to successfully pluck the 9-leaf Ganoderma. For this, Dandan vomited a few mouthfuls of blood and cried out that he had suffered a loss. Chapter 12:17. Whoosh whoosh, the cold wind whistled and the blood mist rolled. They did not know how long they had been walking, but they still could not get out. The blood mist around them was getting thicker and thicker. Dandan, can we get out or not? Lu Ming asked. Cough cough. Don't be impatient, trust me. Dandan coughed a few times and said. Hearing Dandan's dry coughing, Lu Ming felt even more uncertain. This guy's dry coughing was definitely not a good thing. Sure enough, after walking for a while, there were no signs of getting out at all. Instead, there were more and more broken formations around them, and Lu Ming judged that the formations were getting stronger and stronger. They walked even more carefully. There's a palace in front. Suddenly, Xian Yanqing exclaimed. Lu Ming and Long Chen looked over, their eyes revealing shock. A palace appeared in front of them. It was a complete black palace that was incomparably huge. It was thousands of meters tall, magnificent and full of the traces of time. Ever since they entered the ruins of God, they had not found a complete building, let alone a complete palace. But in front of them, there was a complete palace. A complete palace, there must be treasures inside. Dandan's eyes lit up. If there are treasures, it means more danger. Lu Ming said. In the end, everyone discussed and decided to explore. Since they were already here, it would be a pity if they did not explore. The 3 people and 1 tortoise carefully approached the huge palace. They could see that there was a huge door in the middle of the palace. The door was open, but it was dark inside and they could not see the situation clearly. Bang, bang, bang. Suddenly, a series of rumbling sounds came from the palace, as if a huge monster was walking. It seems like something is coming. Lu Ming whispered, his eyes solemn. Let's retreat first. Dandan swallowed his saliva, feeling a little scared. They retreated for a while before finding a huge rock to hide behind. Dandan inscribed an array formation to restrain their auras. After concealing their auras, they began to observe the battle quietly. Bang, bang, bang. The sounds became louder and louder, one after another, very rhythmic, as if a huge monster was walking. It's out. That's a dragon. Xian Yanqing exclaimed softly. His voice was filled with shock. Decapitated dragon, and Long Chen spoke. This peerless genius, who had always been very calm and expressionless, suddenly changed his expression. His voice was very shocked and very hoarse. Lu Ming's pupils suddenly contracted. At the entrance of the palace, a huge monster finally revealed its true body. It was a dragon with 5 claws under its belly. It was a true dragon, a 5-clawed true dragon. However, the most shocking thing was that this true dragon did not have a head. Its head seemed to have been chopped off. Its entire body was covered in black scales and emitted a terrifying aura. The most shocking thing was that there was a knight sitting on the back of the dragon. A knight in black armor was holding a dragon spear that was several meters long. Like the true dragon, this black-armored knight did not have a head. A headless knight riding a headless true dragon walked out of the palace, giving off a terrifying aura. Lu Ming and the others felt their scalps go numb. The headless true dragon actually let out an earth-shaking dragon roar, causing Lu Ming and the others' eardrums to hurt. Then, the headless knight riding the headless true dragon actually walked in their direction. As the true dragon stepped, the earth rumbled. Oh no, they've discovered us. Lu Ming's expression changed drastically. Run, run quickly. Dandan exclaimed and turned to run. However, buzz. The headless true dragon knight emitted a terrifying fluctuation. This fluctuation was stronger than any emperor that Lu Ming had encountered. The space around them seemed to have solidified. Their bodies were suppressed by the space and could not move at all. It was as if they were fixed in place. Lu Ming exerted all his strength, but it was still useless. He could not even activate his bloodline. Too strong. This headless true dragon knight was too strong. Its combat strength was terrifying. Dandan, you're in big trouble this time. Lu Ming shouted. I don't know either. Dandan maintained its running posture and was fixed in the air. Its mouth was crooked. Bang, bang. The headless true dragon knight stepped closer and closer to them. Its powerful aura caused the boulders in front of them to shatter. They were directly exposed to the headless knight. Trespassers die. A cold and emotionless voice came from the headless knight. Shao Qing. Lu Ming looked at Xian Yanqing. This time they were most likely doomed. Lu Ming, as long as I'm with you, so what if I die? Xian Yanqing transmitted his voice to Lu Ming, his eyes full of affection. No way, I didn't die in that earth-shattering battle back then, but I'm going to die here? No way no. Dandan shouted, his voice full of unwillingness. Bang. The headless knight stood in front of them and pointed the dragon's spear in his hand. A cold, murderous intent enveloped them. Kill! Nobody knew where the headless knight's cold voice came from. But at this moment, Lu Ming's body glowed. A purple gold token floated out from Lu Ming's body. Hunyuan token. This was the Hunyuan token that Lu Ming had obtained in the Battle of Providence. Lu Ming didn't know how to use it, but now, it floated out on its own. At the same time, on the other side, a purple gold token appeared on Long Chen's body. It was also a Hunyuan token. Long Chen had also obtained a Hunyuan token when he participated in the Battle of Providence. 2 Hunyuan tokens flew out, emitting a dazzling light. The headless true dragon knight stopped moving instantly, as if it was looking at the 2 Hunyuan tokens. Hunyuan tokens, you are disciples of the Hunyuan sect. It's been countless years. I didn't expect to see disciples of the Hunyuan sect again. Since you are disciples of the Hunyuan sect, you are one of us. Come in. A cold and dry voice came from the headless true dragon knight. The pressure on Lu Ming and the others also disappeared without a trace. Lu Ming and the others immediately regained their freedom. Shao Qing. Lu Ming held Xian Yanqing's small hand and looked at the headless true dragon knight cautiously. How many years has it been? I finally see disciples of the Hunyuan sect again. How is the Hunyuan sect now? Is it still resisting, or has it been destroyed? A leisurely voice came from the headless true dragon knight. Then, the headless true dragon knight turned and left. Step by step, it walked into the dark palace and disappeared without a trace. Come in. What opportunities you can get will depend on your luck. The headless true dragon knight's voice came from the palace. Then it was completely silent. Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing, and Long Chen were a little stunned and confused. Chapter 12:18. Strange, too strange. Obviously, the headless true dragon knight recognized the primordial chaos token. Also, the primordial chaos sect? What was that? A sect? Could it be the controller behind the War of Providence? At this moment, Lu Ming thought of many things, but he also had more questions. However, one thing was certain. The headless true dragon knight seemed to be on the same side as the primordial chaos sect. At least, they were not enemies, which was why they were let go. This is a supreme powerhouse. After death, his battle soul did not dissipate and turned into a headless true dragon knight to protect this territory. Also, the primordial chaos sect? Dandan said slowly, as if trying to recall something, frowning. Suddenly, Dandan raised his eyebrows, and his eyes lit up. Dandan, what did you remember? Lu Ming asked. The primordial chaos sect, the #1 sect in the world, the most powerful force. Dandan said. The #1 sect in the world? You mean the primordial realm? Lu Ming asked. The world is very big, and it's not just the primordial realm. Dandan said. You mean the heavenly realm? Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. He was very shocked. Of course, the conversation between the two was in the form of voice transmission. No one else could hear it. Xian Yanqing did not mind if he heard it. He was not familiar with Long Chen, and there were some things that he did not want Longchen to know. Yes, the Primordial Chaos sect is the #1 sect in the world. Unfortunately, it was destroyed back then. Moreover, this place is most likely related to the Primordial Chaos sect. Therefore, you have the Primordial Chaos token, so the headless true dragon knight will not kill you. Dandan said. Dandan, what happened to the heavenly realm? Lu Ming stared at Dandan and asked. Lu Ming was really curious. He found that many things in the primordial realm were related to the heavenly realm. Legend had it that in ancient times, corpses fell from the sky and formed the 100 Gods slope in the Tianxian domain. There was also the ancient desolate city, which was also an object of the heavenly realm. In the end, it broke through the void and arrived on a small island in the heavenly realm. There was also the Gate of Heaven, which was connected to the heavenly realm. Dandan came out of the Gate of Heaven. Now, the Battle of Providence was also suspected to be controlled by the Primordial Chaos sect of the Heaven Realm, and the current ruins of God. The Primordial Realm seemed to be inextricably linked to the Heaven Realm. Dandan would often mutter about the battle back then. What was that battle referring to? Since the Hunyuan sect was the #1 sect in the world, why was it destroyed? Was it because of the three-eyed divine race? I can't tell you. Firstly, my memory is fuzzy and I can't remember it clearly. Secondly, your cultivation is too weak. Telling you won't do you any good. There are some things that you will naturally know when your cultivation reaches a certain level, Dandan said in a deep voice. It was rare for him to be so serious. Lu Ming pursed his lips, but since Dandan didn't say anything, he didn't bother to ask. Indeed, that kind of thing was too far away from him. His current goal was to improve his cultivation and deal with D. Lu Ming, are we going in? Xian Yanqing asked as he looked at the palace in front of him. Let's go in. Since the headless true dragon rider isn't hostile to us, let's go in and explore. Lu Ming said. Longchen nodded without hesitation. Indeed, there might be some opportunities inside. If there are treasures, I'll be rich. Dandan's eyes lit up again. Immediately, the three of them and the tortoise walked into the palace gate. After walking through the gate, their vision widened and they could vaguely see the main hall. The main hall was very spacious. In the middle, there was a huge aisle. On both sides of the aisle, there were stone rooms. The few of them checked several stone rooms in a row, but found nothing. Suddenly, Long Chen's expression changed as if he had sensed something. He strode forward and came to a sealed stone room. When he arrived, Long Chen's body glowed. The Archean dragonesque elephant bloodline automatically appeared above his head. The Archean dragonesque elephant bloodline howled and slammed into the stone door of the stone room. The stone door opened and a domineering aura emanated from inside. This is... Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing were shocked to see a statue in the stone room. The statue was obviously a huge elephant. The elephant was covered in scales and its aura was domineering. It was obviously an Archean dragonesque elephant. There was actually an Archean dragonesque elephant statue here. It was lifelike and looked exactly the same as Long Chen's bloodline. However, its aura was stronger, more shocking, and more domineering. Long Chen's eyes lit up. He strode in and sat under the Archean dragonesque elephant statue. The Archean dragonesque elephant bloodline above his head resonated with the statue. The statue flashed with light. This kid is pretty lucky to have obtained a great opportunity, Dandan said. Lu Ming nodded. Long Chen had indeed obtained a great opportunity. The Archean dragonesque elephant statue was definitely left behind by a supreme expert. It contained the charm of the Archean dragonesque elephant. Long Chen will probably be cultivating here for a short period of time. Let's go, Lu Ming said. Then he left with Xian Yanqing and Dandan. They walked forward and looked at every secret room on both sides of the passage. Unfortunately, they found nothing. Soon they passed through the passage. Behind them was a ruin. Suddenly, Xian Yanqing's glabella flickered. There seems to be something underground, Xian Yanqing said. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. He began to dig under the ruins. Soon he dug dozens of meters deep. Below, a huge ancient mine of the ruins of God appeared. Yes, the ancient mine of the ruins of God was the size of a water tank. It was dozens of times bigger than the other ancient mines of God. It's so heavy. Lu Ming mentioned it, but he didn't manage to lift it. Get up. Lu Ming unleashed 8 streams of dragon force to lift the ancient mine of the ruins of God and fly it out of the deep pit. Xian Yanqing's true yuan boiled and demonic qi shone on his body. Above his head, the heavenly demon bloodline appeared. I have a strong reaction to this ancient mine of the ruins of God. It seems that there is a devil inside. Xian Yanqing's eyes revealed curiosity and nervousness. Rich, this girl is rich. There is indeed something extraordinary sealed in this ancient mine of the ruins of God. Dandan circled around the ancient mine of the ruins of God, his eyes shining as he muttered nonstop. Break it and take a look. Lu Ming said. Wait a minute, let me set up a formation, just in case. Dandan called out to Lu Ming, and then set up a dense array around the ancient mine of the ruins of God. That's enough. Dandan said. Lu Ming nodded. His true yuan condensed into a blade and began to cut the ancient mine of the ruins of God. The yellow ore was cut off layer by layer. Slowly, the ancient mine of the ruins of God became smaller and smaller. In the end, it was only the size of a fist. It's so small, what could be inside? Lu Ming was curious. His true yuan shook. The ancient mine of the ruins of God cracked open. Immediately, a powerful demonic qi spread out from the crack. This demonic qi was extremely terrifying. Although it didn't feel strong, that kind of aura was high and mighty, like an emperor looking down on all living things. Bang! Chapter 12:19. The black bead was the size of a longan, but it contained a shocking demonic aura and a vast demonic aura. Lu Ming felt as if he was facing a supreme being of the demonic path. The feeling was many times stronger than when he faced Xiao Wan. This is a sacred heart? No, it doesn't seem like it. Lu Ming was shocked. At first, he felt that it was a sacred heart left behind by a sage. Lu Ming had seen a sacred heart left behind by a heavenly profound sage before, but after taking a closer look, it didn't seem like it. Buzz. Whoosh. The black bead let out a buzzing sound and then shot into the sky as if it had a mind of its own. I knew it. Dandan said. Inscriptions appeared around them and a large array was formed, forming countless dense ribbons that blocked the black bead like an inescapable net. The black bead didn't rush out and immediately changed its direction, but it was still blocked by the array. The black bead rushed left and right with a monstrous demonic aura, but unfortunately, it didn't rush out. Dandan was already prepared and set up the array just in case. Naturally, it wasn't that simple. At this time, the demonic aura on Xian Yanqing's body became denser. Her bloodline was glowing as if it was resonating with the black bead. Buzz. In the end, the black bead seemed to have no choice but to turn around and fly directly towards Xian Yanqing. Oh no! Lu Ming's face changed and he wanted to stop it. Lu Ming, you're confused because you're too concerned. This is a great opportunity for this girl. Dandan shouted. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat and he stopped. He also knew that he was confused because he was too concerned. The black bead flew into Xian Yanqing's glabella and disappeared. Lu Ming, I want to cultivate here for a while. Xian Yanqing said. Okay. Lu Ming nodded. Then, Xian Yanqing sat down cross-legged. A layer of demonic light shrouded Xian Yanqing like a cocoon formed by demonic aura. Dandan, could that be the sacred heart left behind by the saints? Lu Ming asked curiously. Not the sacred heart. Dandan shook his head. His small eyes glowed as he said, that's a core left behind by an existence more powerful than a saint. It's 100 times more precious than a saint's heart. That's why I said that this chick had obtained a great opportunity. Fortunately, the owner of this thing had died in battle a long time ago. The killing intent and murderous intent on it had long dissipated, and there wasn't much energy left. Otherwise, if we were all dead, this chick wouldn't have been able to obtain the inheritance. Stronger than a sage? Lu Ming was secretly shocked. At the moment, a ruler was an insurmountable mountain for him, and a saint was much more powerful than a ruler. Moreover, there were existences stronger than a saint. Lu Ming, let's continue forward. No one else can come in here. Your little lover will be fine here. I feel that there is a lucky chance waiting for us ahead. Danden's eyes lit up as he looked ahead. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look. Lu Ming nodded. Then, the man and the tortoise continued forward. There were still ruins in front of them, but they could still see the outline. It should also be a palace, but it had been smashed and fallen here. It had long been ruined. Suddenly, Lu Ming saw a behemoth lying in front of them. It was the headless true dragon knight. The black headless true dragon was lying on the ground, and the headless knight was sitting quietly on the true dragon, holding a dragon spear, motionless. Next to the headless true dragon knight, there was an area where various weapons were stuck upside down. However, they seemed to have been corroded and were in tatters. He could even see various kinds of armor, which were also rotten like those weapons. Taking a closer look, there were skeletons under those weapons and armor. Could it be that these were the burial places of the powerhouses who died in battle? Was the headless true dragon knight guarding this place? Lu Ming secretly guessed. That's 10,000 spirit crystals? I'm rich, I'm rich. Danden's eyes suddenly lit up. She sprinted forward and rushed into the area filled with bones. Then she dug out a multicolored crystal the size of a human head from the center of the area. It hugged the crystal and began to chew on it. Crunch, 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 it ate with relish. During the process, the headless true dragon knight did not move and did not stop it. Lu Ming smiled and strode forward. When he walked into the place of skeletons, his face changed drastically. Kill, kill, kill. Countless roars that were filled with murderous intent suddenly exploded in Lu Ming's mind. Those were extremely powerful killing intent, the killing intent of those powerhouses who were unwilling to die. They were too powerful. If it were anyone else, they would have been drowned by the endless killing intent in an instant and become an idiot. However, Lu Ming was different. In his third bloodline, the murderous intent and murderous intent were many times stronger than the murderous intent here. Lu Ming was often under the influence of such murderous intent, and he had long learned how to resist it and maintain a clear mind amidst the endless murderous intent. What a strong killing intent, but it's useless against me. But Danden is too unreliable. He didn't even warn me. If it were someone else, it would be dangerous. Lu Ming thought. Danden was still gnawing on the crystal, squinting and enjoying it very much. Kill, kill, kill. Those killing intents were full of strong unwillingness and unyielding fighting intent, as if they were going to kill all enemies in the world. What's this? Lu Ming's expression changed, and he closed his eyes. In the next moment, the surrounding environment seemed to change. Lu Ming came to a vast land, where countless light pillars shot up into the sky. Those light pillars were all auras, the auras of various essences of heaven and earth. No, in essence, they were countless times stronger than the essences of heaven and earth. Are they left by those powerhouses? Are they related to the essences, or are they more powerful than the essences? Lu Ming's heart jumped, and then he was overjoyed. Because Lu Ming felt that in those light pillars, there were auras similar to the essences of fire and thunder. Lu Ming could find all 5 essences that he had comprehended. If I can comprehend them here, the essences of heaven and earth will definitely improve rapidly. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. For him, this was a great opportunity. Immediately, Lu Ming sat down cross-legged and started to comprehend quietly. Danden quickly finished eating the 10,000 spirit crystal, and then he lay there motionlessly, glowing all over. Fire essence. The first thing Lu Ming comprehended was the concept of fire. Now, his fire essence and thunder essence had reached the peak of greater success of level 4, and he was only one step away from level 4 perfection. At this time, Lu Ming's fire essence was rapidly improving again. In this way, time passed day by day. After 7 days, Lu Ming made a breakthrough in his fire essence, making it the first to reach level 4 perfection. Level 4 perfection of concept was already the highest level. The next step would be domain. Boom! A layer of flame jumped on Lu Ming's body, and then it burned through the space. Level 4 perfection, so powerful. Chapter 12:20. Perfected level 4 meant that one's comprehension of the concept had reached the peak. Once one's control of the heaven and earth concept reached the perfected realm, the power of the concept would increase greatly. In 7 days, I was able to raise my fire concept from greater success level 4 to perfected level 4. This place is a great opportunity for me, Lu Ming thought to himself. Although there was only one step between greater success level 4 and perfected level 4, the difference was like heaven and earth. Many geniuses would need at least half a year or even a few years to break through. Some people might even spend their entire lives without being able to break through. With Lu Ming's cultivation speed, he would need at least half a year to break through if there were no opportunities. But now, he had broken through in 7 days. Next, thunder concept. Lu Ming's eyes flashed as he began to comprehend thunder concept. Similarly, in 7 days, Lu Ming's thunder concept had broken through and reached perfected level 4. Lu Ming waved his hand and the sky was filled with lightning. Bolts of lightning surrounded Lu Ming's body. Suddenly, Lu Ming's expression changed slightly. Just as his thunder concept had broken through to perfected level 4, the thunder cauldron in his sea of consciousness that had been silent for a few years suddenly moved and vibrated slightly. At this moment, Lu Ming felt that he had made a connection with the thunder cauldron. Lu Ming had obtained this thunder cauldron from the 100 God slope. When he first saw it, the thunder cauldron was undergoing a heavenly tribulation, so Lu Ming had put it away. Lu Ming had used it a few times. Although it would absorb Lu Ming's life essence, it had helped Lu Ming overcome difficulties several times. Unfortunately, after being hit by D in the Battle of 9 Dragons, it had flown back to Lu Ming's sea of consciousness and remained silent. No matter how Lu Ming tried to sense or call it, he could not get a connection. Now, when Lu Ming's thunder concept had broken through to perfected level 4, he had made a connection with the thunder cauldron again. Immediately, Lu Ming activated thunder concept and carefully sensed with the thunder cauldron. The lightning cauldron vibrated even more intensely. In the end, it flew out from between Lu Ming's eyebrows and floated above Lu Ming's head. It emitted a supreme lightning might from above. This pressure is so strong. Lu Ming sensed the lightning cauldron and his eyes revealed shock. The pressure emitted by the thunder cauldron was even stronger than that of a ruler. Move! Lu Ming tried to control the lightning cauldron. To his surprise, he was able to control it. The lightning cauldron flew up and down according to Lu Ming's will. It was many times stronger than before. In the past, he would only be able to activate the lightning cauldron when he was fighting for his life. The lightning would absorb his true essence and his life essence. Only then would he be able to activate the lightning cauldron. How could he control it as he wished now? However, I still feel that this lightning cauldron is unfathomable. I don't know how much power I can unleash from it. However, even if I can unleash a little bit of its power, it will still be of great help to me. Let's find a chance to test it out. Lu Ming smiled and put the thunder cauldron back into his sea of consciousness. Then, Lu Ming continued to comprehend other concepts. Time passed day by day. Lu Ming's heaven and earth concept also improved very quickly. Chirp chirp. On this day, Lu Ming was cultivating when he suddenly heard a sound not far away from him. Lu Ming was shocked and hurriedly opened his eyes. There were actually other living beings here. If they wanted to harm them, the consequences would be unimaginable. When he opened his eyes, he saw a ball of white hair squirming not far away. No, upon closer inspection, it was actually a living being that looked very similar to a squirrel. Its entire body was chubby and round, and it was very fleshy. Moreover, its entire body was covered with white hair. The white hair was crystal clear without any impurities. Coupled with its chubby body, it was very cute. It was not big. It was only the size of 2 fists. At this moment, it was blinking its big black eyes and looking at Lu Ming curiously. It was making chirping sounds from its mouth. There's actually such a living being here? Lu Ming was secretly shocked. Wasn't this place filled with mortal enemies and no living beings? Lu Ming and the others had not encountered any living beings along the way except for the headless true dragon rider. Strictly speaking, the headless true dragon rider was not a living being. Could it be a spirit mouse? Strange, why would it appear here? Moreover, isn't it afraid of the endless killing intent here? Chirp chirp, the white spirit mouse looked at Lu Ming curiously while chirping. It wriggled its chubby body and wandered around Lu Ming. Lu Ming looked carefully and found that the white spirit mouse looked very ordinary. Lu Ming stood up and walked towards the white spirit mouse. The white spirit mouse was shocked and ran away quickly. After running for a while, it stopped and turned around to look at Lu Ming curiously. "Little guy, what's your name?" Lu Ming asked. When a demonic beast reached the king realm, it would be able to speak. Chirp chirp, however, the white spirit mouse only chirped and did not speak. "You haven't reached the king realm? But if you haven't reached the king realm, how can you resist the endless killing intent here?" Lu Ming's curiosity was aroused and he chased after the white spirit mouse. The white spirit mouse turned around and ran at an incredible speed. In a flash, it disappeared without a trace. This is the space essence? Lu Ming stood rooted to the ground, dumbstruck. A white spirit mouse could actually use the space essence. Moreover, it seemed to be more mysterious than the space essence that Lu Ming had seen Yang Padian and Dishan use. What kind of spirit mouse was this? What kind of demonic beast was it? Lu Ming had never heard of it. Forget it. In the end, Lu Ming shook his head and continued to sit cross-legged to comprehend the space essence. But not long after, the chirping sound was heard again. Lu Ming opened his eyes and saw the white spirit mouse again. It was lying not far away and looking at Lu Ming. "This guy," Lu Ming muttered. Suddenly, he moved and pounced on the white spirit rat. Chirp chirp, the white spirit mouse was startled and turned around to run. In a flash of white light, it was far away. Lu Ming did not even see how it left. Its use of space is too strong, isn't it? Lu Ming was really stunned. After a while, Lu Ming continued to sit cross-legged. But this time, Lu Ming just closed his eyes and did not cultivate. Instead, he spread out his soul consciousness and paid attention to the situation around him. As expected, not long after, with a flash of white light, the white spirit mouse appeared not far away from Lu Ming and looked at Lu Ming curiously. "Let's see where you can run to this time." The corners of Lu Ming's lips curled into a faint smile. The vital essence in his body suddenly erupted, forming a vital essence light shield that enveloped a radius of 1,000 meters. Even the space was sealed by Lu Ming. At the same time, Lu Ming suddenly moved and pounced on the white spirit mouse like a ray of light. Chirp chirp, the white spirit mouse made a sound, but there was no trace of panic in its big eyes. It spat out a bubble from its mouth. Yes, it was a bubble. The bubble expanded rapidly and enveloped Lu Ming. Chapter 12:21. As for the white spirit mouse, it ran away without a trace. When the white spirit mouse went far away, the bubble on his body burst with a poof. This is the time concept? This time, Lu Ming's heart was really in a perilous situation. His eyes were full of disbelief. The reason why the bubble slowed down Lu Ming's speed was not because of other reasons. That was because the flow of time in the bubble slowed down. Therefore, Lu Ming's speed slowed down. That was clearly the time concept. Among thousands of concepts, time and space were king. The time concept and space concept were the kings of thousands of concepts. But in fact, the time concept was stronger, more mysterious and rarer than space concept. That was the legendary concept. Almost no one could comprehend it. But now, a white spirit mouse actually mastered the time concept. The most shocking thing was that this white spirit mouse not only mastered the time concept, but also the space concept. To master time and space at the same time, this was unheard of. It was too shocking and too terrifying. Lu Ming was stunned there. It took him a long time to recover. This spirit mouse's origin is absolutely amazing. But it seems to have no malice towards me. It's just curious and as timid as a mouse. No, it's just a mouse. Lu Ming thought in his heart. After a while, Lu Ming continued to sit cross-legged. Sure enough, not long after, the white spirit mouse came again. Not far from Lu Ming, it blinked its big eyes and looked at Lu Ming curiously. This time, Lu Ming ignored it. He closed his eyes and pretended to cultivate. The white spirit mouse wandered around Lu Ming and looked at him. After half an hour, it ran away. Lu Ming smiled slightly and continued to comprehend the world concept. The next day, the white spirit mouse came again and still looked at Lu Ming. Lu Ming ignored it and continued to cultivate. This time, the white spirit mouse seemed to be a little bolder and got closer to Lu Ming. After half an hour, it left again. But the next day, the white spirit mouse came again. Lu Ming couldn't be bothered and focused on cultivating. As for the white spirit mouse, it would come every day to carefully size up Lu Ming. Furthermore, it became bolder and bolder, slowly approaching Lu Ming. 7 days later, it simply climbed onto Lu Ming's shoulder. In this way, after a few more days, he decided not to leave. He curled up at Lu Ming's feet. His chubby body curled up and he actually fell asleep. There was even a bubble on his nose. As the white spirit mouse breathed, the bubble would grow bigger and smaller. It was very cute. Lu Ming opened his eyes and couldn't help but reach out to touch it. The white spirit mouse suddenly woke up and subconsciously wanted to escape. However, it immediately realized that Lu Ming was just gently stroking it. Then, it looked comfortable and continued to lie down. Chirp chirp. After a while, the white spirit mouse actually fell asleep again, and it was even making chirping sounds. Lu Ming smiled faintly. What a cute little guy. In the following days, Lu Ming cultivated every day. The white spirit mouse seemed to be dependent on him and stayed by Lu Ming's side all day long. This is a space-time spirit mouse? Suddenly, a shocked voice sounded. Lu Ming opened his eyes and saw Dandan looking at the white spirit mouse in shock. Space-time spirit mouse? Dandan, you know it? Lu Ming asked. Dandan carefully sized up the white spirit mouse. There was a complicated look in his eyes. It seemed to be nostalgic and sad at the same time. Of course I know it. Space-time spirit mouse is one of the top 10 battle beasts. How can I not know it? Dandan said leisurely. One of the top 10 battle beasts? Lu Ming was shocked. Space-time spirit mouse can control space-time. Don't mention how terrifying it is. A space-time spirit mouse in its heyday is a headache even for me in my heyday. Kid, you're really lucky. It seems that this space-time spirit mouse is dependent on you. Dandan said. His tone was full of envy. Isn't it said that the top 10 battle beasts are unique in the world? Could it be that this one is the one from ancient times? Lu Ming asked curiously. He had already determined that this was the real space-time spirit mouse. Lu Ming had seen it use space-time essence with his own eyes. It shouldn't be. The space-time spirit mouse from back then had already died in battle. If I'm not mistaken, this one should be the descendant of the space-time spirit mouse from back then. I don't know what kind of method it used to seal it until now, but this space-time spirit mouse shouldn't have been born for too long. I know. This is the Space-Time Spirit Palace. The Space-Time Spirit Palace was an important place in the Hunyuan sect. It was the residence of the Space-Time Spirit Mouse. The Archean Dragonesque Elephant and the Space-Time Spirit Mouse were good friends, so there was a statue of the Archean Dragonesque Elephant. Unfortunately, this place has been destroyed. Dandan kept muttering and revealed many secrets. Dandan, you seem to have recovered a lot. Lu Ming said. Oh, of course. I've refined the 1000 Spirit Crystal. The 1000 Spirit Crystal is the condensation of the essence of countless experts. Now that my cultivation has improved greatly, I can protect you in the future. Dandan said proudly. Oh, can you deal with the Emperor? Lu Ming's eyes lit up. Ahem, I haven't fully digested the 1000 Spirit Crystal. I can't deal with the Emperor for the time being. Dandan said awkwardly. You can't deal with the Emperor. What's there to be proud of? Lu Ming despised. Kid. Dandan glared at Lu Ming. If you can't deal with the Emperor, what about the Supreme Being? Lu Ming asked. Ahem, I should be able to barely deal with the Supreme Being, right? Dandan said with some lack of confidence. Lu Ming curled his lips. This guy was most likely unreliable and didn't have any confidence in his words. Kid, what's with your expression? I haven't digested the 1,000 spirit crystal yet. After I've digested it, I can kill a supreme being with a slap. Dandan shouted. Is that so? Lu Ming didn't seem to believe him, which made Dandan very depressed. He stayed at the side alone and continued to refine the 1,000 spirit crystal. Xiao Qing and Long Chen haven't finished cultivating yet. I'll continue to comprehend the concept. Lu Ming pondered and then continued to comprehend the concept of heaven and earth. Time passed day by day. In the blink of an eye, there were only 3 days left before they set off for the ancient city of gods. At this time, Lu Ming ended his cultivation. They had to think of a way to get out. A few days ago, Xian Yanqing and Long Chen had finished their cultivation and came here. At first, Long Chen and Xian Yanqing also wanted to step into the land of bones, but they retreated in shock. It was difficult for them to resist the killing intent, so they could only give up. Lu Ming stood up and took a step out of the land of bones. During this period of time, each of them had gained a lot. Long Chen seemed to have comprehended a terrifying battle skill while cultivating under the primordial dragonesque elephant. Moreover, his cultivation had broken through from the peak of the 5th level to the 6th level of the spirit god realm. Moreover, he had reached the peak of the 6th level of the spirit god realm. Xian Yanqing's cultivation had improved the most. She was originally at the peak of the 4th level of the spirit god realm, but now, she had stepped into the 6th level of the spirit god realm. Yes, the 6th level of the spirit god realm, and she had already reached the middle stage of the 6th level. Chapter 12:22. Of course, Lu Ming's gains were also very shocking. Among his concepts of heaven and earth, the fire concept, thunder concept, and wind concept had all broken through to the peak of the 4th level. In addition, the water concept was at the peak of the 4th level, and the earth concept, which was the hardest to cultivate, was also at the peak of the 4th level. It could be said that his 5 concepts could be described as advancing by leaps and bounds. If he cultivated normally, it would take at least a few years, but now he only needed a little more than a month. If it wasn't for the lack of time, Lu Ming really wanted to raise all 5 concepts to the peak of the 4th level here. Now, although Lu Ming's cultivation was still at the 5th level of the spirit god realm, his various concepts had far surpassed his cultivation. Lu Ming only needed to spend some time to devour and refine origin stones, and his cultivation would advance by leaps and bounds. For Lu Ming, the advancement of concepts was the most important. As long as he had origin stones, his cultivation could increase crazily. Of course, Lu Ming's greatest fortuitous encounter was obtaining the space-time spirit mouse. Now, the space-time spirit mouse pestered Lu Ming all day and hung on Lu Ming's body. What a cute spirit mouse! Xian Yanqing's eyes lit up when she saw the space-time spirit mouse. She really wanted to hug it. However, the space-time spirit mouse seemed to be shy with strangers. It hung on Lu Ming's body and didn't let Xian Yanqing hug it. This made Xian Yanqing's little mouth pout. Ha, this little guy. Lu Ming laughed loudly, making Xian Yanqing's little mouth pout even higher. Dandan, can you find a way out? Lu Ming asked Dandan. Cough, cough, I can try. Dandan coughed again and flew onto Lu Ming's shoulder. This guy is coughing again. Lu Ming had a bad feeling in his heart. When this guy coughed, it meant that he wasn't confident. Bang. At this moment, the space-time spirit mouse kicked Dandan in the face, sending Dandan flying off Lu Ming's shoulder. Then, it curled up its body and nestled on Lu Ming's shoulder, looking at Dandan with its big round eyes. It seemed to be saying that this territory was his. Nestle, little guy, you dare to kick this seat? Audacious, impudent. Dandan's anger soared to the sky. Chirp, chirp. The space-time spirit mouse looked at Dandan innocently and chirped. Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing laughed heartily. Even the usually reserved Long Chen revealed a smile. Suddenly, Lu Ming thought of something, and his eyes lit up as he rubbed the space-time spirit mouse and said, Little fellow, are you willing to leave with me? Chirp, chirp. A small bubble emerged from the space-time spirit mouse's nose, and it nodded its head repeatedly. Then do you know the way out? Can you take us out? Lu Ming continued to ask. Chirp, chirp. The space-time spirit mouse nodded again. Lu Ming was overjoyed and said, "All right, then bring us out." Chirp chirp, the space-time spirit mouse extended its small claws and pointed in a direction. Lu Ming was overjoyed, and the few of them followed the direction pointed by the space-time spirit mouse. The headless true dragon knight did not move at all. Very quickly, the few of them left the direction of the palace. On the way, the space-time spirit mouse would often give them pointers. Everyone followed the direction of the space-time spirit mouse and walked forward. Just like that, they walked for half a day. Half a day later, the surrounding environment suddenly changed. They discovered that they had already left the core region and arrived at the inner region of the ruins of God. They had really walked out of the core region of the ruins of God. "Little guy, you're so powerful." Lu Ming patted the space-time spirit mouse. Chirp chirp, the space-time spirit mouse squinted its eyes and curled up its chubby body. It had a comfortable look on its face as the bubble on its nose fluctuated between big and small. So cute. Xian Yanqing's eyes were already filled with light as he stared at the space-time spirit mouse. He couldn't wait to rush up and hug it. "Lu Ming, this little spirit mouse is much more reliable than your little tortoise." Xian Yanqing said. "What? Little girl, what did you say? How can this little thing be compared to this seat?" Dandan was so angry that his entire body was trembling. He jumped onto Lu Ming's other shoulder and glared at Xian Yanqing. At the same time, he carefully paid attention to the space-time spirit mouse, afraid that it would kick him down again. "Isn't it?" Xian Yanqing curled his lips, then looked at Lu Ming and said, "Lu Ming, have you given it a name? In my opinion, why don't we call it Bubbles? How cute." Xian Yanqing carefully approached and stroked the space-time spirit mouse. "Bubbles, be good, let me hug you." Xian Yanqing whispered very gently. This time, the space-time spirit mouse didn't refuse and let Xian Yanqing approach. Xian Yanqing stroked it a few times first, then hugged the space-time spirit mouse in his arms with a happy look. "Bubbles, it's quite appropriate." Lu Ming smiled. Everyone's attention was on Bubbles, which made Dandan angry. "Let's go back to the Southern Divine Palace. Mu Ju, Mu family, this debt will be settled sooner or later." Lu Ming's eyes flashed with a trace of coldness. The Mu family could only secretly send people to deal with them. They wouldn't dare to do so in public. Otherwise, what would the young experts from other continents think if they knew? Therefore, they could swagger back to the Southern Divine Palace. In less than an hour, they returned to the Southern Divine Palace. The Southern Divine Palace was even more lively, with people coming and going. The young geniuses from the 9 continents in the southern part of the continent of God had already arrived. They had all ended their seclusion and were wandering around the streets. Because there were only 2 days left before they set off for the ancient city of God to participate in the Heavenly God sex selection, everyone came out to relax. The Mu family is holding a stone gambling event. Is that so? Let's go and have a look. Suddenly, someone shouted on the street, and suddenly, many people gathered in one direction. Stone gambling event? The few of them were stunned. Lu Ming casually pulled a person over and asked, then he knew what was going on. The continent of God's ruins was the ancient mine of God's ruins. Peerless treasures could be found in the ancient mine of God, which made many people very tempted. However, not all ancient mines of God could produce treasures, and the probability was very low. Every once in a while, the major forces of the Southern Divine Palace would take out many ancient mines of God for people to choose from. Of course, they had to pay the price of origin stones. The Mu family. Lu Ming's lips curled into a cold smile. Together with Xian Yanqing and Long Chen, they followed the crowd and headed forward. Soon, they arrived at a large square. At this time, the square was surrounded by a sea of people. There were many shelves in the square, and on the shelves, there were pieces of ancient mines of God. At a glance, there were thousands of pieces. Thousands of pieces seemed like a lot, but it was nothing to a major force. How many people were there in a major force? There were people wandering around the ancient mines of God every day. After a few years, it was normal to have thousands of pieces of ancient mines of God. On one side of the shelves, there was a high platform where the experts of the Mu family sat. Mu Ju was sitting in the middle. Chapter 12:23. Lu Ming, Longqin, you guys are lucky to have died in the core of the ruins of God. Otherwise, I would have killed both of you. Also, it's a pity for that Xian Yanqing, such a beauty. Mu Ju thought in his heart. Seeing that more and more people were gathering in the square, he felt that it was about time. He stood up and looked around. His voice came from afar. Today, my Mu family is holding a stone gambling event. I have taken out all the ancient mines that my Mu family has collected for decades. There must be a peerless treasure inside. If you want to gamble, you can come up and choose carefully. If you choose one, you can take it away for 100,000 origin stones. Mu Ju announced the rules of the stone gambling event. 100,000 origin stones, it's really expensive. Some people gasped. It's really expensive. In the past, when other families held a stone gambling event, it wasn't that expensive. It's too expensive. Usually, it's not that expensive to buy ancient mines of God. Many people began to discuss. For a moment, no one went up. In fact, many people knew that the ancient mines of God that these big families took out were all carefully selected. The ancient mines of God that might contain treasures had already been filtered out. Those that were taken out were all carefully selected. The probability of a treasure being found was not high. It was too expensive to sell it for 100,000 origin stones. Mu Ju's face turned cold. Usually, when we buy ancient mines of God, we can't let you choose carefully. But now we can. Moreover, I guarantee that these ancient mines of God are all of high quality. I guarantee it with the Mu family's reputation. Let me try. Let me try too. As soon as Mu Ju's voice fell, a few burly men stepped forward and carefully selected among the thousands of origin stones. After a while, the burly men finished their selection and paid 100,000 origin stones each. Cut it open and see. Someone shouted. All right. The burly men nodded. In the beginning, 2 burly men cut open the ancient mine of God. There was nothing inside. When the 3rd burly man cut open the ancient mine of God, a rainbow light shot out from the ancient mine of God. A treasure has appeared, a treasure has appeared. The crowd was in an uproar as they stared with their eyes wide open. A jade sword. God, it's so powerful! Someone exclaimed. Inside the ruins of God ancient mine that the burly man had cut open, there was actually a small and exquisite jade sword that emitted a terrifying fluctuation. Even though countless years had passed, causing it to lose some of its essence, as long as it was nurtured properly, it would still be a formidable weapon. This seems to be an emperor spirit weapon. Someone cried out in alarm, causing the crowd to burst into a frenzy. We really found treasures. Mu Ju was right. This batch of ancient ores is really exquisite. This jade sword is worth at least tens of millions of primordial stones, or even more. 100,000 primordial stones for tens of millions of primordial stones. Looking at the jade sword, many people's eyes lit up. Ha! The big man quickly put away the jade sword and left. It's only 100,000 origin stones. Let's take a gamble. If we get it, it'll be worth it. Yes, let's take a gamble. At this moment, many people were moved. They walked onto the plaza and began to carefully sense it. Then, they each chose a piece of the ruins of God ancient mine. Of course, every piece of ancient mine of the ruins of God had to pay 100,000 origin stones. Soon, more than 10 people had chosen the ancient ores. A smile appeared on Mu Ju's face. Cut it open and see. Someone shouted. Immediately, those who had chosen the ancient ores began to cut them open one by one. Unfortunately, none of the dozens of people present found any treasures. How unlucky! I wasted 100,000 origin stones. Damn it, if others can choose, I can too. Damn it again. Some people were ruthless and picked a few pieces in a row, but they found nothing. That big man is most likely a drag. Lu Ming and the others were mixed in the crowd. At this moment, Lu Ming said with a smile. Xian Yanqing and Long Chen nodded. At the beginning, those big men were most likely cooperating with the Mu family to put on a show to provoke others to go up and pick the ancient ores. In a few moments, dozens of ancient ores were sold and millions of origin stones were earned. It was completely a free profit. Gradually, fewer people went up, but there were still people who went up from time to time to try their luck. In the end, they came up empty-handed. Dandan, you can sense the treasures in these ancient ores. Are there really treasures in these thousands of ancient ores? Lu Ming transmitted his voice to Dandan. Yes, but there are very few of them. Only a few of them have good things. Do you want them? I can pick them out one by one. Dandan said. Of course I want them. Only a fool would not want the treasures. Moreover, they belong to the Mu family. Lu Ming smiled and stepped into the square. Mu Ju was originally sitting lazily on a chair. His mind was filled with thoughts of how to show his prowess in the Heavenly God Sect's disciple selection. How to be chosen by the Heavenly God Sect and enter the Heavenly God Sect of Yuanlu to cultivate. From then on, he would soar to the 9 heavens and break through to the Martial Emperor realm or even the Sage realm. Just as he was dreaming, he suddenly saw a familiar figure walking into the square. Mu Ju's eyes suddenly widened. His body trembled and he jumped up from the chair. Lu Ming, you're still alive? How is that possible? Mu Ju shouted in disbelief. He was truly in disbelief. Didn't Lu Ming enter the core of the ruins of God? Moreover, he had been in the core of the ruins of God for more than half a month. Even an Emperor Realm expert would not be able to come out after such a long time. Now, Lu Ming actually swaggered in front of him. How could he not be shocked? Then he looked around. As expected, he found Xian Yanqing and Long Chen in the crowd. This made him even more shocked. What's wrong? Young Master Mu, what's so strange about me being alive? Lu Ming asked with a cold smile. Nothing. After a long while, Mu Ju finally calmed down. His face was extremely gloomy. Damn it, why aren't these guys dead yet? Damn it, I must find a chance to kill them. Otherwise, I won't be able to get rid of the hatred in my heart. Mu Ju thought to himself. His killing intent was extremely strong. I want to gamble a few rounds. Young Master Mu, do you not welcome me? Lu Ming asked with a faint smile. My Mu family is open to business. Anyone who wants to gamble on stones is welcome. You can choose as you wish. Mu Ju said. After saying that, he sat back down on his chair with a gloomy face. He was thinking about some conspiracy in his heart. Lu Ming smiled and casually strolled around the many ancient mines of the ruins of God. After a while, he casually pointed at an ancient mine and said, "This one." Picking up this ancient mine of the ruins of God, Lu Ming paid 100,000 ores. Cut it open and take a look. Someone shouted. All right, then I'll cut it open and take a look. Lu Ming smiled. His true essence was like a knife, cutting the ancient mine of the ruins of God into 2 halves. Suddenly, a golden light spread out from the ancient mine of the ruins of God. A treasure has appeared, another treasure has appeared. Someone exclaimed. Mu Ju also suddenly stood up from his chair. His eyes were wide open. Lu Ming had actually chosen an ancient mine of the ruins of God with a treasure. Many people opened their eyes wide, wanting to see what kind of treasure it was. Earth Emperor Spirit, it's actually an Earth Emperor Spirit. Chapter 12:24. It was a block-shaped object that looked like a tree root. Its entire body was golden like gold, but it emitted a strong medicinal fragrance. Earth Emperor Essence, one of the main spiritual materials to refine Nirvana pill. Lu Ming never thought that he would find it in a piece of God Ruin's ancient mine. How could Lu Ming not be happy? After obtaining this piece of Earth Emperor Essence, he only lacked one of the 7 main materials to refine Nirvana pill. As long as he gathered the 7 main materials, the other auxiliary materials would be easy to find. At that time, he could start refining Nirvana pill. That's Earth Emperor Essence. It's really a piece of Earth Emperor Essence. It's really a big profit. A piece of Earth Emperor Essence is worth tens of millions of ores. His luck is too good. It's just the first piece and he already found a treasure. Around the square, There were people who recognized the Earth Emperor essence and exclaimed in envy. Damn it, this Lu Ming, how can his luck be so good? He actually found a treasure. Muju's face was gloomy and his eyes were cold. He was very clear in his heart that each piece of God Ruin's ancient mine was carefully examined by the Mu family's experts. As long as there was a possibility of a treasure being found, the Mu family would keep it. There were thousands of pieces of God Ruin's ancient mine here. There might be some that slipped through the net and might contain treasures, but there were very few of them. Thousands of pieces added together, there might not be many pieces. But Lu Ming had found a piece that was worth tens of millions of ores. Mu Ju felt a little heartache. He had just sold dozens of pieces of God Ruin's ancient mine and only earned a few million ores. Lu Ming happily took out a jade box and carefully put away the Earth Emperor essence. Then, his eyes lit up as he glanced at the other God Ruin's ancient mine. At the same time, he laughed. My luck is really good today. It seems that I have to choose another one. After saying that, he wandered around the pile of ancient mines. Humph, you're just lucky. Choose, I don't believe you can find another one. Mu Ju thought in his heart. Lu Ming wandered for a while and casually grabbed an ancient mine, saying, "This is it." After grabbing it, he went to the Mu family and paid 100,000 ores. "Cut it open and see." Someone jeered. Just now, Lu Ming had obtained a treasure on the first piece. Many people were very curious and wanted to know if Lu Ming would be able to obtain a treasure on the second piece. Alright. Lu Ming smiled, condensed his true essence, and started cutting. It's impossible for me to get another treasure this time. I was just lucky to get the first one. There are very few people who can get 2 treasures in a row. Someone said, but in the next moment his mouth fell open and he was dumbfounded. This was because the ancient ore in Lu Ming's hand was emitting a blinding crimson light. Many people were stunned, and then a commotion broke out. Treasure! There's another treasure! He actually got a treasure twice in a row. How rare! This person's luck is too heaven-defying. 1 drop of blood, 1 drop of blood essence. What a powerful blood essence! It's actually a drop of blood essence. Lu Ming himself was a little stunned. He carefully cut open the ancient ore, and a drop of crystal-clear blood essence like a blood gem appeared in Lu Ming's palm, exuding an incomparably rich blood essence. This was definitely an extremely powerful existence. After his death, his blood essence was coincidentally sealed in the ancient ore of God Ruins and passed down. Its value was immeasurable. If it was used to refine pills, it would bring out the energy in the blood essence. It would be of great help to a cultivator's cultivation. It's actually a drop of blood essence. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. He was currently lacking blood essence to improve his bloodline. Lu Ming had a feeling that if he refined this drop of blood essence, his bloodline would be greatly improved. How can this be? Mu Ju's eyes widened, and he subconsciously crushed a purple jade teacup in his hand. Damn it! Mu Ju roared in his heart. The value of this drop of blood essence was even higher than the Earth Emperor essence. He felt that he had suffered a great loss. How good would it be if they cut it out themselves? Now that it had been chosen by someone else, and it was Lu Ming, Mu Ju gnashed his teeth in anger. Lu Ming laughed heartily. He took out a jade bottle and kept the drop of blood essence. He could not stop muttering, "Luck? I'm really lucky today." Let's continue. Lu Ming's gaze began to look around the ancient ore of God Ruins again. Mu Ju and the rest of the Mu family couldn't help but feel nervous. They were worried that Lu Ming would choose another ancient ore of God Ruins that contained treasures. Mu Ju wanted to stop Lu Ming from continuing to choose, but they were open to do business. Under the watchful eyes of everyone, what reason did they have to stop Lu Ming from continuing to choose? They could only hope that Lu Ming was just lucky the first 2 times, and that he wouldn't be able to choose anything later. This time, Lu Ming was even faster. After taking a few casual glances, he chose an ancient mine and paid 100,000 primordial stones. Cut it open and take a look. Right, take a look. Many people shouted in excitement. Lu Ming had cut out treasures twice in a row. Would he be able to cut out treasures 3 times in a row? Mu Ju and the other members of the Mu family also stared with their eyes wide open. Impossible, impossible. There aren't that many treasures in all of the ancient or of God ruins here. Mu Ju kept praying in his heart. Lu Ming's true essence was like a blade as he began to cut. After a few consecutive slashes, the ancient or of God ruins cracked open and a faint brilliance emitted out. Accompanying the brilliance was an extremely dense medicinal fragrance. The crowd was stunned. After a long while, an earth-shattering clamor erupted. He had cut out another treasure. He had actually cut out another treasure. It had happened 3 times in a row. It was simply too shocking. Could it be that this time, the Mu family really had a conscience and took out so many high-quality ancient or of God ruins? As Lu Ming continued to cut open, the treasures in the ancient or of God ruins revealed their true colors. It was a spiritual medicine. It was purple like a lotus flower. On it, there was an indescribable fluctuation. The medicinal fragrance was extremely rich. Could it be a saint medicine? A white-haired old man exclaimed in disbelief. Saint medicine? How is that possible? Oh my God, that's impossible. The others also exclaimed in disbelief. What was a saint medicine? It was a supreme treasure that surpassed level 9 spiritual medicine. Even saints could use it. Even emperors would fight crazily when they saw it. Many people's eyes revealed a fiery light as they stared fixedly at the purple lotus flower in Lu Ming's hand. No, it's not a saint medicine. It hasn't completely evolved. It's a half-saint medicine. Moreover, it's been sealed for many years. Most of its spiritual essence has been lost. What a pity! The white-haired old man carefully identified it and shook his head with a sigh. So it's not a saint medicine. Some people let out a long breath, but many people's eyes lit up. The corners of Lu Ming's mouth curled up into a smile, and his gaze swept across the ancient mine of God again. Lu Ming, that's enough. Suddenly, Mu Ju opened his mouth, looking coldly at Lu Ming. Enough? Young Master Mu, I wonder what you mean by this? Lu Ming said indifferently. Today, you have already cut out 3 treasures in a row. It's time to stop. Mu Ju said coldly. Stop? Ha, what a joke. Is this how you open the door to do business? Seeing that I have cut out a few more treasures, you don't let me cut it out. Then why didn't you stop others from cutting out treasures? Could it be that you can only earn and not lose when doing business? If that's the case, then there's no need for others to do business with your Mu family in the future. Lu Ming sneered and mocked. You're talking nonsense. Mu Ju shouted angrily. Oh, since I'm talking nonsense, then don't stop me. Lu Ming sneered, then strode forward, grabbed a piece of ancient mine of God ancient mine with one hand, and paid 100,000 origin stones. Cut it open and see. Many people shouted, their eyes burning with passion. Could it be that Lu Ming could really sense the treasures inside the ancient mine of God ancient mine? Then what treasures would he be able to cut out this time? Countless people were looking forward to it. Mu Ju's face was cold, but he didn't stop him. Swish, swish. Lu Ming's true essence was like a blade, and began to cut open the ancient mine. Gotcha! The ancient mine cracked open, but only one layer. Inside was still a piece of ancient mine of God ancient mine. It's actually 2 layers of ore. Someone said. Lu Ming was also curious and continued to cut. Soon, another layer was broken, but below, it was still yellow ore. Another layer. What's going on? It's actually 3 layers. Could it be that this is a waste mine, and Lu Ming finally failed? It seems like he failed. It's impossible to cut out treasures every time. Some people discussed, while Mu Ju and the other members of the Mu family also let out a long sigh of relief. Dandan, is there really a treasure inside? Lu Ming secretly sent a sound transmission to Dandan. Of course, what kind of existence am I? How could I be wrong? Dandan stretched out its head with a proud face. Lu Ming nodded and continued to cut. However, after breaking open a layer of ore, there was still a layer of ore below. Lu Ming continued to cut, and one after another, there were 7 layers of ore wrapped around the ore. Everyone was speechless. How could there be so many layers of ore wrapped around the ore? The other ancient mines only had 1 layer, and it was rare to see 2 layers. This time, there were actually 7 layers. Now, it was only the size of an egg, and it was basically impossible for there to be any treasures inside. However, Lu Ming's gaze was firm, and he continued to cut. Gotcha! The ancient mine cracked open. This time, strands of red light seeped out from the ancient mine. At the same time, a terrifyingly high temperature seeped out from the ancient mine, causing the temperature of the entire square to rise rapidly. However, no one felt the heat. Everyone just looked at Lu Ming in a daze, looking at the egg-sized ancient mine in his hand. A treasure was cut out, and another treasure was cut out. A treasure was cut out 4 times in a row. Everyone felt numb, but they instinctively thought that a treasure was cut out this time. Damn it, how is this possible? Damn it. Mu Ju roared in his heart, and his eyes were bloodshot. Gotcha! Lu Ming used a little force, and the ancient mine completely cracked open. A red stone the size of a longan was revealed. The red light spread out, and a terrifying heat wave swept in all directions, causing the temperature of the square to rise by a few thousand degrees. It's so hot, too hot. What kind of treasure is this? It looks like a small sun. Many people had to circulate their true essence to resist the terrifying heat. Oh my God, is this the divine sunstone? Someone exclaimed, full of disbelief. Divine sunstone. Yes, this is the divine sunstone. Legend has it that it can only be born in the core of the sun. I've read about it in ancient books. Oh my God, it can't be. Is this really the divine sunstone? A supreme treasure. Chapter 12:26. It's actually a piece of divine sunstone. Even Lu Ming himself was somewhat dumbfounded. He was very shocked. Legend has it that the divine sunstone was born from the core of the sun. It would take countless years for one to be born. Its value was immeasurable. If used properly, it could unleash terrifying power. Lu Ming never thought that he would find such a treasure in the ancient mine of God. How is it? Kid, I said there's a treasure. Why would I lie to you? Why would I make an error in judgment? Dandan was immensely proud of herself, looking as if she was about to ascend to the heavens. In the crowd, Xian Yanqing revealed a smile while Long Chen was a little stunned. He realized that he couldn't see through Lu Ming anymore. Divine sunstone. It's actually a piece of divine sunstone. Mu Ju's eyes widened in disbelief as he muttered in a daze. After a while, his eyes emitted blazing flames. Lu Ming, quickly hand over the divine sunstone to me. Mu Ju shouted, attracting everyone's attention. Lu Ming waved his hand and kept the divine sunstone into the mountain river diagram. Then, he looked at Mu Ju as if he was looking at an idiot. Hand it over to you? This is mine. You want me to hand it over to you? You want to buy it from me? Sorry, I'm not selling it. Lu Ming said indifferently. What do you mean it's yours? This is clearly my Mu family's treasure. You dare to take my Mu family's treasure? Quickly hand it over. Mu Ju shouted. His eyes were blazing. What an idiot. Your Mu family? Just now it was yours. But now that I've bought it, it's mine. Do you think so many people are blind? Can't they see it? Lu Ming mocked. Ridiculous. I just said enough. I told you not to pick any more stones. I haven't agreed to let you pick any more stones. You're the one who wants to pick. This divine sunstone naturally belongs to my Mu family. Mu Ju quibbled. Then why are you still accepting my 100,000 origin stones? Since you've taken my origin stones, this is mine. Lu Ming sneered. I don't care. I didn't agree. Hurry up and hand over the divine sunstone. You can't swallow such a treasure. Mu Ju shouted. His voice was cold, revealing a strong sense of threat. Ah, laughable, truly laughable. You've taken out so many ancient ores of the ruins of God for people to gamble on. Furthermore, each piece is sold for a high price of 100,000 origin stones. Now that you've seen someone else take out a treasure, you want to act shamelessly and force them to hand it over to you. Alright, I'll hand it over to you. How many people have spent their money on useless ores in the stone gambling convention that your Mu clan has held for so many years? Spit out all the money. If you spit it out, I'll hand it over to you. Lu Ming sneered. Mu Ju was speechless, his face flushed red. How many years has it been since the Mu family held this stone gambling event? It was impossible to calculate. After so many years, it was impossible to calculate how many raw stones they had earned. How could they hand it over? When others earn a little from you, your heart aches. What about when you earn from others? Why aren't you spitting it out? How laughable! Let me tell you, although your Mu clan is powerful, the Southern God Palace is not your Mu clan's Southern God Palace. If you want to cover the sky with one hand, you'll have to ask everyone here if they agree. Lu Ming sneered. Then, he turned around and flew towards Xian Yanqing's direction. Stop right there. Two Mu clan experts in front of Lu Ming stretched out their claws and grabbed at Lu Ming. Both of them were at the peak of the 8th level spirit god realm. Get lost. Lu Ming yelled and struck with his palm. The majestic palm force sent the two powerful figures of the Mu family flying out. What? You want to use force? Is this how your Mu clan does business? Then, I don't think anyone else will do business with your Mu clan in the future. Lu Ming shouted. Many people looked at the Mu clan with unfriendly eyes. If the Mu clan did business like this, they would snatch other people's treasures. In the future, who would do business with the Mu clan? If the Mu clan held a stone gambling convention, who would choose stones? If they were like Lu Ming and obtained a supreme treasure, wouldn't the Mu clan have to take it back? Damn it! Mu Ju roared in his heart. He really wanted to ask people to cut Lu Ming into pieces, but he didn't dare. If he really did so, the Mu clan's reputation would be ruined. He could only watch as Lu Ming left. Let's go! Lu Ming came to Xian Yanqing and Long Chen's side. Then, the three of them rose into the air and flew towards General Peak. After flying for a while, Lu Ming stopped again. His voice came from afar. Everyone, I can indeed sense the situation in the ancient mine of God. So, the remaining ancient mines are all useless. There are no treasures. With that, Lu Ming laughed loudly. He stepped out with Xian Yanqing and Long Chen and left in an instant. Mu Ju gritted his teeth and shouted out Lu Ming's name. His eyes were filled with killing intent. He couldn't wait to cut Lu Ming into pieces. After hearing Lu Ming's words, who else would go up to choose stones? Sure enough, there was a burst of discussion around the square. There's no more. The rest are all useless. Lu Ming must be able to sense the situation in the ancient mine of God. If he said there's no more, then there's no more. There are thousands of ancient mines in the ancient mine of God, and only 4 of them have treasures. The Mu clan is really a scam. Let's go. They're all useless. What's the point of choosing? The people in the square shook their heads and then flew in all directions. After a while, there was no one left in the square. Only the Mu clan's people were left. Mu Ju let out a sound like a wild boar. He was incomparably angry. This time, the Mu clan's stone gambling conference was completely ruined. Lu Ming took out 4 treasures. Moreover, no one would buy them anymore. With so many ancient mines in the ancient mine of God, the loss was disastrous. Lu Ming must die. Damn it, I must find a way to kill him. Mu Ju roared crazily in his heart. Lu Ming's mood was the opposite of his. He was very happy. The 4 treasures were each more precious than the last. Especially the Divine Sunstone at the end, it was simply a priceless treasure. They spent a total of 400,000 origin stones to get 4 such precious treasures. They made a big profit. Soon, the 3 of them returned to the General's Peak. When they arrived at the General's Peak, Xian Yanqing's eyes looked forward. In front of them, Xian Yanjuan was wearing a snow-white robe. She was like a fairy from the 9th heaven who had descended to the mortal world. Besides Xian Yanjuan, there was a young man in white. He was extraordinarily handsome. He was the kind of person who would attract everyone's attention when he stood in the crowd. He was born high and mighty and everyone looked up to him. This was an extraordinary hero. Because with just a glance, Lu Ming felt a strong pressure from this person. It was a dangerous pressure. Xian Yanjuan looked at Xian Yanqing and Lu Ming. He snorted with slight disdain and hostility. That girl is your sister? The white-robed man looked at Xian Yanqing and asked Xian Yanjuan. He was a little surprised. Just a weirdo. Don't bother about him, Xian Yanjuan said. Then he left the general's peak with the white-robed man. Chapter 12:27. Fellow benefactors, you have to be careful of that man in white. At this moment, a Buddhist chant sounded and Monk Wuliang appeared. Monk, do you know who he is? Lu Ming asked. Yes, because Xian Yanjuan has been very close to this person. There are 3 strongest supreme talents in the younger generation of South God Palace. This person is one of them, Wang Zhen. Monk Wuliang said. This person is Wang Zhen. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. The 3 strongest geniuses of the younger generation of Southern God Palace were all extraordinary geniuses. Each of them was terrifying, and their cultivation levels were unfathomable. One of them was Ji Hongqian. Lu Ming had met him before and he was indeed extraordinary. He did not expect Xian Yanjuan to be so close to Wang Zhen, one of the 3 great geniuses of the Southern God Palace. Thank you. Lu Ming cupped his fists and returned to his room with Xian Yanqing and Long Chen. Lu Ming entered his room and entered the mountain river diagram. First, he planted the purple lotus, a sage-level herb, beside the tree of enlightenment, on the mysterious yellow silicon soil. Then, Lu Ming sat cross-legged on the peak of a mountain and a drop of blood essence appeared in his hand. It was the blood essence that he had cut out from the ancient mine of the ruins of God. Lu Ming planned to devour and refine this drop of blood essence to see if the 9 Dragons bloodline could be promoted to a level 9 divine grade. Previously, Lu Ming had refined 4 drops of sovereign blood essence, but the 9 Dragons bloodline had not been promoted. This time, it was a glimmer of hope. Without hesitation, the 9 Dragons bloodline swallowed the drop of blood essence. After the drop of blood essence was swallowed, it did not immediately crumble. Instead, it turned into wisps of pure energy and was constantly refined and converted into the power of the 9 Dragons bloodline. The energy of this drop of blood essence was extremely vast and boundless. Lu Ming tried his best to refine it. In the blink of an eye, almost 3 days had passed. The energy of this drop of blood essence was finally completely refined. On the 9 Dragons bloodline, 8 golden chakras shone brightly. It was so bright that one could not open their eyes. Suddenly, above the 8 brilliant golden chakras, the 9th golden chakra emerged. The 9th golden chakra represented a level 9 divine level bloodline. The 9 Dragons bloodline had finally advanced to the 9th level of the divine realm. Moreover, after the 9th golden chakra appeared, it was dark golden at first, but it soon became brighter and brighter. Finally, all the 9 golden chakras became as bright as the last one. The 9 Dragons bloodline had finally reached perfection. At this time, Lu Ming heard an earth-shattering dragon roar in his mind. At the same time, Lu Ming seemed to see an enormous dragon with 9 dragon claws under its abdomen soaring and dancing in the air. The 9 dragons stepped on the sky, their might shocking the heavens. Boom! Lu Ming's mind was buzzing and exploding. At this moment, many things seemed to appear in Lu Ming's mind. This is... Lu Ming sensed it carefully and realized that it was a memory about the 9 dragons. Unfortunately, it was fragmented, only some memory fragments, extremely rare. The foundation of the true dragon of battle arts. Lu Ming found the foundation of the true dragon of battle arts in the 9 dragons' memory fragments. Only the foundation of battle arts, what a pity! Lu Ming sighed. There should be more chapters of the true dragon of battle arts, but in the fragmented memory fragments of the 9 dragons, Lu Ming only found the foundation of battle arts. And the 9 dragons' sky-stomping steps. Lu Ming found the cultivation method of the 9 dragons' sky-stomping steps. Unfortunately, he already had it and did not need it. In addition, he found a few martial techniques, but they were not as good as the true dragon of battle arts and the 9 dragons sky-stomping steps, so they were not useful to Lu Ming. My 9 dragons bloodline was only awakened with a drop of 9 dragons blood essence. Is it because it was only a drop of blood essence that I received fragmented memory fragments? If I want to get more, I need more 9 dragons blood essence. Lu Ming pondered. Lu Ming sat cross-legged for a while and checked carefully. Finally, he found something new. Is this about the 9 dragons ruins? Lu Ming discovered some content and was deep in thought. The 9 dragons ruins were located at the border between Eastern Wilderness and Middle Continent, in the chaotic region. Back then, Supreme Nine Sons had risked his life to enter the 9 dragons ruins. In the end, he had obtained 2 drops of 9 dragons blood essence, the true dragon of battle arts, and the cultivation method of the 9 dragons sky-stomping steps. Because of that, he had been seriously injured. The 9 dragons ruins might contain all 9 dragons blood essence. If I can obtain all 9 dragons blood essence, I might be able to obtain all 9 dragons legacies. It seems that after I'm done with the Godly Ruins continent, I'll have to go to the 9 dragons ruins when I return to the Divine Wilderness continent. Lu Ming pondered. The only thing that excited Lu Ming was that the 9 dragons bloodline had advanced to the 9th level of the divine grade and had finally produced another dragon force. The 9th dragon force. The 9th dragon force is so powerful. Lu Ming sensed it and showed a hint of excitement. The 9th dragon force was much stronger than any of the previous dragon forces. If I release the 9th dragon force, I might be able to stand shoulder to shoulder with the prison-suppressing monument bloodline. Lu Ming pondered. The prison-suppressing monument bloodline was a fragment of the prison-suppressing monument's original body. It was very powerful and was Lu Ming's strongest killing move. However, Lu Ming felt that if he released the 9th dragon force, it might not be weaker than the prison-suppressing monument bloodline. This way, Lu Ming had one more killing move. Suddenly, Lu Ming's mind moved and he exited the mountain river diagram. When he appeared in the room, Xian Yanqing opened the door and walked in. Lu Ming, it's time. We have to go to the ancient city of gods. Xian Yanqing said. Okay. Lu Ming nodded. Clang, clang. At this time, a melodious bell rang from somewhere in the southern divine palace. This was the bell that summoned the elites of all continents. At this moment, Long Chen, Yang Padian, unscrupulous monk, underworld child and the others walked out of their rooms and flew towards the sound of the bell. Soon they arrived at a square. There were already some young experts standing in the square. These young people were divided into different regions and gathered together. Obviously, they were all elites from different continents. There were more and less people. Some had 7 or 8 people and some had 30 to 40 people. Lu Ming was shocked. Those who could come here were basically peerless elites who had awakened a level 9 divine bloodline. There were only 12 of them in the entire divine wilderness continent, but some continents had 30 to 40 of them. It was really shocking. The difference in strength between the continents was obvious. Shwa, shwa, shwa. The sound of something breaking through the air could be heard as 50 to 60 young figures flew over. Lu Ming saw Wang Zhen in white and Ji Hongchen in the crowd. However, Wang Zhen and Ji Hongchen were half a step behind another purple-haired youth. This purple-haired youth was flying at the front. Lu Ming also saw Mu Ju in the crowd. Mu Ju looked around and when he saw Lu Ming, his eyes emitted a cold light. Chapter 12:28. The number of geniuses from the Southern Divine Palace who were qualified to participate in the Celestial God Sex selection was around 50 to 60. The Godly Ruins continent was indeed the number 1 continent in the Godly Ruins continent. The number of geniuses there was shocking. The Southern Divine Palace was only one of the 4 major factions in the Godly Ruins continent. With so many geniuses, one could imagine how terrifying the top 3 geniuses were. When the geniuses from the Southern Divine Palace arrived, a loud cry could be heard from the horizon. Huge beasts were flying toward them. They were flying leopards. Their bodies were pitch black, but they had fleshy wings. When they spread their wings, they were more than 100 meters wide. There were at least 20 of them, and each of them had a powerful aura that made people feel pressured. Great Circle Spiritual God Realm. There were more than 20 flying leopards, and they were all at the Great Circle Spiritual God Realm. A black-robed middle-aged man stood on one of the flying leopards. He was the same man who had brought Lu Ming and the others to the Divine Wilderness Continent. He was a third-level Martial Royal Realm Elder of the Southern Divine Palace. Behind him stood two old men who emitted the aura of martial emperors. However, their status was obviously lower than the black-robed middle-aged man. All of you, get on the flying leopards and follow me to the ancient city of the godly ruins. The black-robed middle-aged man said in a deep voice. Yes. The geniuses from the Southern Divine Palace were the first to respond. They stepped into the air and flew onto different flying leopards. Then, the geniuses from the other continents also flew into the air and flew toward the flying leopards. Lu Ming and the rest of the people from the Divine Wilderness Continent gathered on a flying leopard. Let's go! The black-robed middle-aged man announced. More than 20 flying leopards roared and flew into the sky. Then, like black lightning, they flew toward the ancient city of the godly ruins at an astonishing speed. The flying beasts at the Great Circle Spiritual God Realm were traveling at full speed. However, the ancient city of the godly ruins was in the center of the Southern Divine Palace. Even with the flying leopard speed, it would take them 2 days to reach the ancient city of the godly ruins. Whoosh whoosh, Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing stood side by side and looked at the mountains and rivers below. Lu Ming, there are people from 2 continents watching us. Xian Yanqing said to Lu Ming. Yeah, I saw it too. Lu Ming nodded and looked to the left. On one of the flying leopards, there were many youths wearing feathered clothes. Regardless of gender, they all had sharp eyes and there were many of them. There were actually more than 40 of them. Apart from the Southern God Palace, this was the continent with the most people. Muju. Lu Ming's gaze turned cold because he saw Muju's figure among these people. At this moment, Muju was also coldly looking at Lu Ming and the others. Brother Mu, are they the ones who offended you? One of the feather-clad youths looked at Lu Ming and said indifferently. That's right, it's them, especially that Lu Ming. I want him dead. Muju said resentfully. He's just a piece of trash from the Divine Wilderness Continent. Don't worry, if there's a chance, we'll get rid of him. That woman, on the other hand, isn't bad. We can keep her and enjoy her. The feather-clad youths said indifferently as if killing Lu Ming was as simple as eating and drinking for them. They didn't put Lu Ming in their eyes at all. Then I'll learn from Brother Yu. Muju was overjoyed. At the same time, on another flying leopard, there were also some youths looking coldly at Lu Ming. Lu Ming knew a few of them. They were the few Heaven's Prides who were defeated by Lu Ming in the Divine Ruins. You were defeated by that person? One of the Heaven's Prides from the continent asked indifferently. Yes, this person's combat strength is pretty good. One of the youths who was defeated by Lu Ming replied. What do you mean by pretty good combat strength? He's just a piece of trash from the Divine Wilderness Continent. What's so good about him? You're just trash. That young man scolded coldly. The few young men who had been defeated by Lu Ming blushed and did not know what to say. However, no matter what, you're still from the Divine Wilderness Continent. Knowing that you're from the Divine Wilderness Continent, you still dared to make a move. I'll remember this. I'll kill those people when I see them. The youth spoke. He had short hair and looked very confident. On the flying leopard that Lu Ming was on, Long Chen walked towards Lu Ming and Muju. Lu Ming, you have to be careful. The people from the White Feather Continent and the Divine Wilderness Continent have their eyes on us. Long Chen reminded. The 4th-ranked White Feather Continent and the 9th-ranked Divine Wilderness Continent? If they don't know what's good for them, we can only send them on their way. Lu Ming's lips curled into a cold smile. Long Chen's eyes lit up. He nodded and left without saying anything. Hundreds of millions of miles of mountains and rivers passed by in a flash. 2 days passed in the blink of an eye. An ancient city that was even more magnificent than the Southern Divine Palace appeared in front of them. This was the ancient city of Divine Ruins, the most majestic and ancient city in the Divine Ruins continent. In the Divine Ruins continent, The four major forces were the Eastern, Western, Southern, and Southern Divine Palaces. In fact, a long time ago, the four divine palaces belonged to one force, which was the Divine Gate. The ancient city of Divine Ruins was the headquarters of the Divine Gate. But now, the four divine palaces reigned supreme, and the Divine Gate was divided into four. No force could occupy the ancient city of Divine Ruins for their own use. Therefore, the ancient city of Divine Ruins was very special. It was a city shared by the four divine palaces. Usually, some people would be stationed here. If the four divine palaces had any major matters, they would discuss it in the ancient city of Divine Ruins. The flying leopard didn't stop and flew directly into the ancient city of Divine Ruins, towards the center of the city. That's when they arrived at the center of the ancient city of Divine Ruins. Lu Ming saw that there were 36 straight mountains that reached into the sky, forming the 36 heavenly dipper positions. In the sky above the 36 mountains, there were 9 ancient altars suspended in the air. They were filled with an ancient aura. At this time, the 36 mountains were surrounded by people. They were all local warriors of the ancient city of Divine Ruins. It's the Southern Divine Palace. The Southern Divine Palace and the 9 southern continents have arrived. A local warrior of the ancient city of Divine Ruins said.
What?
The roars of ferocious beasts came from the west. Many huge tigers with wings on their backs flew over, carrying many young geniuses. The Western Divine Palace and the 9 continents have arrived. Someone shouted. Western Divine Palace. Lu Ming looked to the west. There were also young prodigies riding on the giant tigers. They were also looking at them with sharp gazes. Ah, you guys are early. A loud laugh came from the east. A fiery red divine eagle flew over. The leader was a middle-aged man in a red robe. His aura suppressed the world and was not inferior to the middle-aged man in black from the Southern Divine Palace. There were many young geniuses on the fiery red godly eagles as well. There were more of them than the South God Palace and the West God Palace. The Eastern Divine Palace and the 11 continents in the east had arrived. Whoosh whoosh. Chapter 1229. North Divine Palace and the 12 continents in the north. Someone exclaimed. At the same time, the sky prides of South Divine Palace, West Divine Palace, and East Divine Palace all looked at the sky prides of North Divine Palace with solemn expressions. The 4 great divine palaces also had differences in strength. South Divine Palace and West Divine Palace were similar in strength and ranked last. East Divine Palace was slightly stronger than South Divine Palace and West Divine Palace. Among them, North Divine Palace was undoubtedly the strongest. That was because the second continent in the continent of Divine Ruins was in the north. In the direction of North Divine Palace, sky prides stood proudly. Powerful auras emanated from their bodies without restraint. There were close to 300 of them. At that moment, around the 36 mountains, sharp gazes pierced through the void like sharp swords. They were sizing each other up in the void. Gathered here were the strongest young sky prides of the continent of Divine Ruins. There were close to 1,000 of them. Close to 1,000 sky prides was a huge number. These sky prides were all experts who had awakened a level 9 divine bloodline. Every single one of them was a sky prides with great luck. Lion Do, Kong Lin, Yang Patin, Underworld Child, and the others of the Divine Wilderness continent all had solemn expressions. Deep in their eyes there was shock. In the Divine Wilderness continent, they were undoubtedly at the peak of existence. Each of them was destined to become sovereigns. They would be the center of attention and be invincible among their peers. They were all arrogant and thought that even if they were to leave the Divine Wilderness continent, they would not be weak. They were the best sky prides. However, at that moment, their confidence was shaken. That was because there were close to 1,000 sky prides here. Every single one of them was no weaker than them. Some were even stronger. So many sky prides. This is more interesting. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. He felt the blood in his body boiling. His eyes were filled with fighting spirit. Beside him, Long Chen was also filled with fighting spirit. They stood at the pinnacle of the divine wilderness continent and were invincible. But now, they had so many opponents. This made their blood boil once again. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. At that moment, a dozen figures moved. In a flash, they flew toward the 36 mountains. Lu Ming saw that there were 3 people from South Divine Palace. They were Ji Hongshan, Wang Zhen, and the purple-haired youth. Western Divine Palace also had 3 people, while Eastern Divine Palace and Northern Divine Palace had 4 each. There were a total of 14 of them, and they were the 14 strongest geniuses of the 4 Divine Palaces. Their names had long since shaken the entire Divine Ruins continent. The 14 of them each landed on the peak of a mountain, looking down on the other geniuses. Only the strongest geniuses could enter the 36 astral peaks. It was a symbol of status. The 14 peerless geniuses of the 4 godly palaces obviously had the right to do so. Looking at the 14 heavens' favorites, many people's eyes lit up. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Then, one figure after another leaped onto the remaining mountains like flickering lights and passing shadows. More than 22 people leaped onto the remaining 22 mountains. Naturally, some of the mountains had more than one person. Scram! Someone shouted. You're the one who should get lost. What qualifications do you have to occupy this mountain? Boom! Then a great battle broke out. It was very intense. Those who wanted to enter the mountains were extremely powerful geniuses. They were confident in themselves. Otherwise, they would not have dared to go up. Most of them were the strongest geniuses of the top 10 continents of the Divine Ruins continent. Boom, boom, boom. The sky rumbled. The battle was extremely intense. Various lights flickered in the sky. Heavens, are these the strongest geniuses of the Divine Ruins continent? This is too shocking. Their strength is comparable to a perfect spirit god, right? Even a perfect spirit god isn't this terrifying. Many people discussed among themselves in astonishment. Meanwhile, the eyes of Underworld Child, Lion Do, and the others were filled with astonishment. These people were too strong. 7th layer spirit god realm. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. These young men in the battle were all at the 7th layer spirit god realm. Their strength was extremely shocking. In the end, the battle was still decided. Someone was knocked flying while spitting out blood. Then, a young man stood on each of the 36 astral peaks. However, the battle was obviously not over yet. Scram! This is not a place where you can stand. Young experts flew up from 4 different directions. They each chose a target and launched a fierce attack. On the Southern God Palace's side, 3 people from the White Feather continent had set foot on the Divine Ruins continent, 1 from the Jianghu continent, and 1 youth from another continent. This continent was called the Flaming Tide continent. This youth was wearing a long robe with a flame pattern. He was the number 1 genius of the Flaming Tide continent. At this moment, a short-haired youth from the Jianghu continent flew out and attacked the Flaming Tide continent's genius. Scram! The short-haired youth from the Jianghu continent shouted coldly. His iron fist was like a mountain as he punched the Flaming Tide continent's genius. The Flaming Tide continent's genius's gaze turned cold. Flames surged from his body as he engaged in a fierce battle with the short-haired youth. Both of them were at the 7th layer spirit god realm. The 2 of them exchanged dozens of moves. In the end, the short-haired youth from the Jianghu continent was stronger and sent the Flaming Tide continent's genius flying. The Jianghu continent is indeed worthy of being ranked 8th. This person is called Lu Qingzhou. He's the number 2 genius of the Jianghu continent. His strength is actually so shocking. The top 10 continents are indeed amazing. They have as many experts as the clouds. The other continents can't compare at all. The geniuses of the smaller continents around Lu Ming and the others were discussing. Their words were filled with awe and admiration. They were all geniuses who stood at the peak of their respective continents. However, compared to these geniuses, there was a huge gap. However, many of them clenched their fists. They were confident that their talent wasn't inferior to others. It was just that their resources weren't as good as those of the top continents. That was why their cultivation was lagging behind. As long as they were given time, they were confident that they could catch up. Lu Qingzhou stood at the top of a mountain and looked around. His gaze was especially cold when it landed on Lu Ming. Scram. Unfortunately, Lu Qingzhou didn't even stand there for a minute before a genius from the Eastern Divine Palace rushed out and attacked Lu Qingzhou. The two of them fought fiercely. However, after just a dozen moves, Lu Qingzhou was beaten until he vomited blood and was sent flying far away. Damn it! Lu Qingzhou growled. He looked unwilling, but his eyes were filled with shock. The genius from the Eastern Divine Palace had defeated him in a dozen moves. He was too strong. The fierce battle continued. However, the 14 strongest geniuses of the 4 divine palaces, as well as the geniuses from the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th continents, didn't dare to challenge them. That was because these people gave off a very dangerous feeling. The battle went on for more than 10 minutes before it stopped. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Immortal Journey YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.